I get a phone call and she's saying, who's calling you? And I say, oh, sorry, it's my wife. This is better than having a kid. Yuck, yuck, yuck. The husband's laughing. And ultimately, at the end of the day, she believes me. I get all the information. I go back. That 1 minute of video, now I'm sitting there and saying, okay, I know at 3:00 the couple's coming from Michigan, so let me post up from a distance, show the couple, get their license plate, later track them down, get an affidavit that she sold the puppies. Ultimately, all of that goes to court, and I testify to all of that. And that 1 minute video completely shut off her water, and she got zero.
God, why do people talk to you? Like, they tell you everything, always. Brian, thanks for hopping on, starting your Monday morning with me back again for the podcast. How you doing?
Great. Weekend goes by too fast.
Just brutally fast. Did you do anything exciting or just try and collect your sanity from last week's events?
I actually pitched in and did surveillance on Sunday, on a rainy Sunday, and it was wildly successful, was ready to pull the plug, and then ultimately she packed up with the kids and decided to probably clean her vehicle the one time a year, and went and ran a bunch of errands, and ultimately where she was saying she couldn't stand for more than 5 minutes and drive, and she actually wore me out all day. So
you got off the bench and Big Dad took care of it on Sunday. You did a little surveillance yourself.
Yes, one of my other investigators struck out on Saturday, so I thought I'll catch up. I'll sit in the surveillance van and multitask and see if she leaves, and ultimately in the store wearing my video sunglasses, videotaping her in aisle 8 shopping and scolding her children and running around like you or I. So
was this like a disability thing, claiming benefits and she can't walk? And here she is.
Yeah, it was. What ultimately happens in these types of cases is that they just get to the point to where they get better, but you have the system and the attorney saying, hey, by the way, if you stay out, there's some big payday at the end of this. And so then they ultimately will paint themselves in a corner most of the time with their disability, claiming that they really can't do any type of daily activities whatsoever. And so lots of times you don't need to show them juggling elephants, but just more importantly, living life and driving and take care of families and, all of those things, which she did. And so will that shut her water off? Probably not, but will it reduce the claim significantly? Yes. So there's the significant value.
Is that how it happens a lot of times, is someone gets some sort of legitimate disability benefit for some period of time and they get better, and then they either just get used to being sort of on the teat and don't want to go work again and keep claiming benefits, or is it usually dishonest from the start?
Typically, there's a legitimate claim for 90% of them. And ultimately what happens is you have an injury, you heal, you get better, but everything from the doctor's office, the very first question they ask you is what? Oh, did this happen at work? Who's paying for this?
Yeah.
Oh, your employer is paying for this.
Mm-hmm.
The attorney saying, hey, by the way, I'm going to get 40% if we can get to the end of this rainbow. So the system is really broken in the sense that they can now collect, let's say, workers' comp that turns out, because you're not taxed on it, turns out to be more than what you would be making ultimately for a weekly salary. So it really creates an environment where these people are, hey, this is great. I'm still getting paid. I'm going to go work for Tommy cutting grass over the summer and make some extra cash and things. And so yeah, the system really is broken for that. And then there's great financial reward if you can see it to the end.
I guess that's just how it always is there's incentives for the claimant and the attorney to go nuts with the claim, and they do it.
Yeah. And you'll get these Academy Award winners that will go to their IME, their independent medical exam, and walk with their cane or their walker and need assistance and can barely do it. And then once they leave there, they're throwing the cane, they're, cutting trees down, water skiing, everything known to man. And so that's just really fun and rewarding as an investigator. Just even yesterday, I was just enjoying myself, just being a Walmart shopper and going in and standing next to her and, obtaining video and just absolutely clueless. And so, I enjoy the hunt aspect of it.
Yeah, that's got to be satisfying. So, for most people in their profession that have gotten as far as you sort of get burned out on the technical part of the business because you ran the race for so many years. You still get a big thrill going back in the field, it sounds like.
Yeah. I have a lot of steak dinners that clients owe me. They look and they're in despair, and I just say, okay, I'll bet you a steak dinner. I'll get some good video of her, or I'll get to the bottom of this, via interviews or what have you. So it's really rewarding to where the client gets stuck and you have a multi-million-dollar situation potential to pay out. And when these people ultimately at the end of the day can just function normally and go back to work, and they don't abuse the system.
Obviously, yesterday was a success and you kind of got the tape and won the game, and sort of the jig is up from her side. What makes a good surveillance investigator? Is it patience? Is it just the experience of finding the right place at the right time?
Yeah. I was thinking a little bit about this yesterday as I was following around. And I think ultimately, for yesterday's example, is just really being comfortable in your own skin, being a bit of an actor, and understanding the sky isn't going to fall in, and just ultimately being aggressive and want the shot. Right. And as a hunter, that pull the trigger takes less than a second to get that bullet to go down range. But ultimately, as an investigator, there's so much time and preparation. So when you're in the thick of it, it's just muscle memory.
Relating to your hunting example, are there investigators on like the more novice side that maybe take the shot too early and blow the surveil?
We call it new guy syndrome. A new person yesterday would have been probably terrified to do that investigation and follow him in, and just have that paranoia of, oh, she's on to me, she's watching, she knows those types of things. I'm there videotaping her in her neighborhood, and I just see some guy walking his dog, and I know he's coming to talk to me because just earlier I was filming on the other end. A novice investigator might panic. Simply, he comes to the door and say, oh, can I help you? And it's oh no, hey, sorry to alarm you, I'm waiting for a real estate agent. And he said, yeah, people are buying up these houses left and right. Mine's not for sale. And I said, okay, duly noted. Now get the F out of here. So just kind of diffuse the situation. And as soon as he turns his back, I'm back to videotaping her again.
It takes one of those, just being comfortable in your skin. It's one of those, like, I could probably walk into Walmart right now and just walk out with a TV on my shoulder. If I look natural, nobody would stop me. But if you look nervous, you're going to get stopped.
Back in the day, I had this investigation where this woman was believed to take care of all of these dogs and was taking care of these dogs. And this claim was north of $1 million. She lived out in the country. She already knew, she already sent a letter to the insurance carrier. Don't send an investigator. I already know the tricks. My husband's in insurance, So, you take that as a personal challenge, right?
Challenge accepted. Yeah.
So she's out in the country. You drive by and there she is carrying a, 50-pound bag of dog food down to the kennel, nowhere to park. And I'm saying, God, I got to get this 1-minute video. So pull up in front of her house, jump in the back of the van, start videotaping her just for about a minute, to where she kind of looks around and then looks and sees the van and just comes marching dead straight away. And, most people would panic. Ultimately got the good video to where she's saying, hey, what are you doing parking in front of my house? And I said, oh, actually, I live down behind the McDonald's on Henderson Street, pulling it out of my ass. But ultimately saying, oh, we're in the market for a new pup, and do you sell pups? Still skeptical. She's saying, yeah. And then she says, well, I have a few pups if you want to see them inside. So now I'm continuing to play this role where she's not the best to ever be in the subject's house, right? She's still grilling me with questions, and she proceeds to tell me that she has a couple coming from Michigan down to look at all these pups, and that she's actively selling them, and she has 20 plus dogs and those types of things. And so I get a phone call, and she's saying, who's calling you? And I say, oh, sorry, it's my wife. This is better than having a kid. Yuck, yuck, yuck. The husband's laughing. And ultimately, at the end of the day, she believes me. I get all the information. I go back. That 1 minute of video, now I'm sitting there and saying, okay, I know at 3:00 the couple's coming from Michigan, so let me post up from a distance, show the couple, get their license plate, later track them down, get an affidavit that she sold the puppies. Ultimately, all of that goes to court, and I testify to all of that in that 1 minute video. Completely shut off her water, and she got zero.
God, why do people talk to you? Like they tell you everything, always.
The art of a good pretext is invaluable. Whether I'm carrying a dog leash in my van for, okay, I got to see what this person's doing in their backyard. So I got to walk through the neighbor's yard and, call for my dog Kirby and say, oh, he just ran through here, or knock on the door and said, have you seen him? Or using some other type of pretext to where people just vomit information to you that ultimately at the end of the day just helps you out immensely.
Yeah, it's weird. You got the lion over your head. It just seems like the surveillance spirit animals, the chameleon. Like you just sound like a bunch of different versions of different people every time you do this stuff. It's so wild that half of this business just relies on people opening their mouths when they shouldn't, and they do it all day, every day.
It's crazy. And where many investigators now are just absolutely shriek to say, oh my God, I got to go to the door. Oh my God, I got to talk to somebody. God, what if I'm discovered, right? Versus just, kind of putting on your acting hat and just roll with it. Don't overthink it. I jumped in to assist a year or so ago, and this woman, and she proceeds to tell me that, oh, honey, I'm not going to be available this afternoon. I'm going to get my dress because I'm going to my niece's wedding. Oh my God, that's great. Where's the wedding at? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, the reception's here. She tells me all of this. I call the client and say, hey, she's not able to stand this and that. I show up at the wedding reception. She's doing the limbo underneath the bar, as they lower the bar at the wedding reception. And finally, somebody comes over and says, hey, can I ask you why you're filming? And I say, yeah, but I have to tell you, you got to keep this a secret, right? And yeah, absolutely. Hey, just want to let you know, somebody's paid for this, and this is going to be a surprise for the bride and groom. And we're putting all of this surprise video together. And they're like, okay, I won't tell. They bring me a plate of food. They're bringing me drink. Just sitting there, wedding crashers having the best time and videotaping this individual and burning them up, right? So, is what I stress to my investigators is, hey, anybody can hire a cameraman. You're an investigator. Go investigate, get this information. Information is power, and as you use this, use it to your advantage and get what it is that you need.
PHENIX Investigations, the wedding crasher edition. That's amazing.
I need more meatloaf. Right?
That is insane to happen at their own wedding. Just absolutely brutal. It just sounds like a lot of this is the old school stuff. Like everyone has this technology, but it's just like the old school door knocking, being the right person for the right time, asking the right questions. Is that one of the big skill differentiators, is just doing the old school stuff better and being willing to do it?
Yeah, it really comes down to being tenacious. And I think that is part of being, a great hunter. And ultimately, you're hunting the number one predator, which is man, right? And so to be able to outthink those people and let them think that you're dumber than a box of rocks, and just really being aggressive. At the end of the day, what's the worst that happens, right? You're going to fail, but there's always another opportunity. Years ago, I followed this woman, couldn't do much of anything, followed to a bowling alley, right? And so she goes into the bowling alley. I go in, I call the client. Hey, I think she's in a league bowling. give me a general description. Oh, she's 5'1", white female, really trashy redneck looking. Well, what do you think happens when you go into a bowling alley in Indiana?
Which one? Yes, the teenager in the hoodie.
Yeah. Hey, there's 400 rednecks in here, right? So just ultimately couldn't figure out who it was. So I just simply go and I call the front desk and I tell them, hey, there's an emergency call for Sally. They put it on the pager. Here comes Sally walking up. I can see sitting, down the way. There's what it is. And I was like, oh, are you Sally Jones? No, I'm Sally Thompson. Oh, God. Oh, hey, sorry. My bad. And then I see her, which lane she goes back to, and proceed to, videotape her throwing a, 14-pound, bowling ball for hours.
God. So, in summary, those are run of wild stories. And to wrap up, to be an amazing surveillance expert, you have to be able to wear a suit, crash a wedding, be a redneck at a bowling alley, and essentially be able to be anybody that you need to be to get the information.
Yeah, sum it up. You said it best. Just be a chameleon, blend into the situation, understand when you need to talk to Hillbilly Bob and he's got the car up on blocks in front of his house. You show up and you say, oh man, I've been looking for a 68 Camaro and I'm willing to give you $1,000 just for that junk car for parts. Well, Billy Joe Bob would probably pay you to remove it from his front yard as a lawn ornament, right? And then, now he's your best friend and he's telling you everything under the sun, right? And so just being clever, being aggressive, and, at the end of the day, that's really what separates somebody from just a mediocre investigator to, an excellent one.
Well, Brian, that was an awesome combo. Looking forward to continuing the combo next time. One thing I can say for sure is Brian Bauer does know how to pick his spots. Chat again next time. Appreciate the time.
All right. Thanks, Scott.
Good to see you, Brian.
We'll take
Bye.
care.